I'm sitting in Kurt's chair today because Kurt can't be with us, so I will be chairing the meeting today. And we start by reading the fun part. So this meeting of the Finance Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 978-772-8220 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, the Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting. All right, so on the agenda, we have review and approval of the January 15th minutes and March 5th minutes. And while they were completed and sent out for review, I don't have them in front of me, so I cannot mark them up. So I would like to table that for our next meeting.
Okay.
Next thing is committee updates. The only person that has attended those meetings would be Robert, and there are no updates, as I understand.
Correct.
Okay. No, we're so deep in. So we have the police and Ayer Shirley Regional School District with us today. I'd like to do Dr. Renda in the school district first, as that is like an update meeting. And unless there's anything you, Jen, or you guys have? All right, so I'd like to invite up the Ayer Shirley Regional School District, please.
Thank you. Did you get a copy of the presentation? Yeah,
You did.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having us. We're happy to come and give you an update. We did provide the entire presentation for you, but I think we're going to concentrate on slide 17, which is the certified budget. But we're happy to answer any questions that you may have on any part of it. Mr. Plunkett will go over the assessment and the certified budget for you in just a moment. I did want to let you know that to get to the numbers that we got to, and I think you will at least be pleased with how much we were able to get it down. I did want to inform you that this is using about $1.1 million in circuit breaker money, which is a special education reimbursement that the school district gets on a yearly basis. It represents about $700,000 in cuts. It is assuming that we're going to receive about $130,000 in additional in Chapter 70 funding. We're feeling fairly confident that's going to happen. But if it doesn't, that will mean about another $130,000 in cuts that we have to make. And then around $350,000 of some of our revenues and reserves to get down to this number. But I'll go ahead and pass that over to Mr. Plunkett to go over these as well.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. The top section of the slide, row number 1, has the required local contribution that's set by the state. That's based on the town's ability to pay, real estate, growth, income is all taken into factors. And that first row there is set by the state. It also is dependent on enrollment. And Ayer had a little bit of a dip in enrollment this year. Might have been due in part to the shelter. We had about 24 students from the shelter that were enrolled at Ayer Shirley last year. And those families have moved on and been relocated elsewhere. The second and third lines, the net school spending, the operating assessment, is the amount that Ayer and Shirley contribute above RLC, and that is allocated via the regional agreement. It's a 5-year rolling foundation enrollment, and currently Ayer is at 57.45%, and Shirley is 42.55%. And rows 2 and 3, that amount above net school spending, and 3, transportation, are both allocated the same way by that allocation you see to the right. The first subtotal shows the operating assessment for Ayer and Shirley, $15,116,953 for Ayer. And jump down to the next section, it compares it to the previous year, where Ayer had an increase or an operating budget of $14,108,177. It was an increase of $1,008,776 over the prior year. That was a 7.2% increase. The operating assessment without the debt. We add in the debt, row 4. I wanted to note that the middle school debt is off the books. Ayer assumed a portion of the debt when we regionalized, and that has been on the books, and it came off as of 2026. So Ayer is not paying towards the middle school any longer, and I believe is off the Shirley books as well. And then the next subtotal is the operating assessment and debt for Ayer at $16,197,293. It's an increase. Last year together, those two numbers were $15,303,480, which was an $893,000 increase. For this year, 5.8%. Assessment overall for Ayer for the operating assessment and the debt.
I believe we were at 11.1 the last time we were in.
I think it was 10.8.
10.8. Thank you.
It was right around there. Shirley's enrollment was up a little bit, and they had their growth. The new growth for this year was also up a little bit, so their numbers were up close to what Ayer was paying for required local contribution, and Ayer was down a little bit due to the loss of enrollment or decline in enrollment, and then also the debt, the middle school debt coming off was also helped to lower the assessment for Ayer. Ayer was paying about $100,000 a year for the middle school debt, for their portion of the middle school debt, and now that's off the books.
I have questions. Either you or any of you want to go over?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
The first item of interest is on the budget sheet I'm looking at here, which Robert was kind enough to send across earlier today. Negative $156,000
Oh, in the central office cost center?
from 1.4 million.
That's where we put all our adjustments.
Okay.
Over $550,000 of adjustments that we made to get the assessments down.
What's an adjustment?
The adjustment is
Where'd that money come from?
That is the use of offsets. We have set aside the circuit breaker, like Dr. Brennan has said. We also had additional Chapter 70 money that we're budgeting for to come in, and those will be lowering the assessment for the towns.
So circuit breaker is a reimbursement from prior year special education funding. What we would like to be able to use circuit breaker for is for unexpected special education costs. What we have been doing and many districts do this, to bring down the assessments, is putting that right into the general fund to pay for special education expenses. We can do that, it's an acceptable use, but if we have unexpected costs, which we have, it's a pretty big hit during the year. So the situation we're going to be in going into next year is, if we have multiple unexpected costs, we may have to make mid-year cuts. We have zero wiggle room going into next year.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, there's none.
Okay. Because I was also looking at other lines like the special education transportation looked like that got moved to circuit breaker.
Mhm.
There was
About 500,000, I believe.
yeah, the private day tuition went down.
Mhm.
And
Collaborative, I believe, was down.
then there's some other random items. Looks like your software doubled in price for was it Rediker?
Does it say Rediker? Does it say Rediker on there? So we're using Aspen. If that says Rediker, that needs to be updated.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
we
think
switched from Power School to Aspen.
okay, so then maybe that's a carryover from my notes. And then, I mean, what was it Medicare tax seems to be way up.
Mhm.
Retirement assessment has gone way up. And then the other thing was psychological services. It looked like, and you don't have to answer this now, and I can also send this to you in an email. But it looks like the full-time employees went from 1 to 2, and then the salary line didn't change.
We had a hard time hiring a second psychologist.
Okay.
We had 2 in the budget, so we changed the second one to contracted services, and we were contracting out, and we utilized it that way.
Oh.
We did actually just hire a second.
Okay.
So this will be much better for next year. As you can imagine, contracted services is a bit, it wasn't too bad because we contracted independently with people, not a service, but typically when you contract with like an Easter Seals, it's almost double the cost.
Yeah.
But finding a school psychologist is difficult, to say the least.
Is that for like the whole school system, or is that?
It's 2 for the whole school system.
Yes. I feel like that has to be a relatively new development, and by that I mean the last 20 years.
No, I mean there's always school psychologists. We had one when I started, but their caseload was ridiculous. So essentially, you would like them to do more than special education testing.
For
Unfortunately, the reality is they're pretty much doing special education testing. So when I started, we had 1, and that person was doing the entire caseload, which was undoable. At one point, we had 3. We quickly lost 2 to districts whose salary school psychologists get stolen and swooped and poached very quickly. But I would say you're correct. The last 20 years, the need is going up, but districts have had school psychologists for a long time.
And my last question is, Page Hilltop. You have 2.5 full-time nurses, and salaries went down.
That's incorrect. So we'll have to fix that.
That's split.
We have 1 full-time nurse and 1 part-time LPN. So a full-time RN and a part-time LPN. So my apologies. We'll get that corrected and get you a new copy over.
Man, it could also be my eyes went cross-eyed at some point.
Yeah.
So
I jumped in. Did you have an explanation?
Yeah, we have a nurse leader is split. Half of her salary is in Page Hilltop, and half is in the district.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Cool. That's all I got.
I have a question on the same sheet, budget breakdown sheet. I don't remember every single line or instance of it, but in general, it appears as if all the either department heads or major officers or whatnot have a basically 15% increase in salary over the last year,
No.
which doesn't sound
Yeah, no.
Right.
So we administrators get the same raise, whatever the teachers get. It's the same raise. Now there are circumstances where we might hire new, or someone may try to renegotiate, but I believe that has happened only twice since I've started. So if you could point out that line we could either give you an explanation right now, get it to you, but no one has received a 15% raise.
It's just like across the board. Curriculum and instruction salary, assistant superintendent, from 144 to 166. Salary, student services, 124 to 144. Business director salary, 134 to 154. Technology salary director, 105 to 121. SPED coordinator, 135, 155. On and on.
Those were corrections. They were level funded the prior 2 years. We used to put all of the salary money into a line in the central office, and it was inflating our cost expenditures from that cost center. So we actually put the salary amounts into the cost centers where they belong. And we also updated the salaries for the administration because they had been listed as level funded for 2 years, when indeed their salaries had been increased in 25 and 26.
So it's essentially was listed somewhere else. The money's come out of that line and gone into.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jen? Bob?
I was under the impression that you had a lot of special education coming into the district, and I noticed that the budget's gone down, so am I misinformed, or is that?
No, we're SPED director. The whole SPED department is making good use of the collaboratives. Keystone is one of them, and then CAPS. We actually have CAPS in one of our buildings in Page Hilltop. Keystone has a couple of classrooms in our high school, and it's economically more sound than a lot of the other out-of-district tuitions. So they're saving money there by keeping the kids in those collaboratives and keeping more kids in classrooms.
Jen?
I don't have question right now.
It's now or never. Okay. Well, seeing no more, thank you.
You can always email with any questions if something comes to you afterwards.
Robert, would you like me to keep these here for?
Through the chair, yeah, if you don't mind, if we could keep those.
Yeah, I don't need them.
Perfect. All right. Thank
You
you.
don't have to carry them back.
We'll put them out of town meeting.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for that.
Okie dokie. Next up, we've got the police department. If you guys want to come up. And I think what we'll do what we normally do, so we'll let the committee stop and ask questions along the way, and then we'll hold for public at the end.
Do you mind if I move these? Oh, you're going.
Yeah, we can throw them down here.
Let me just get your presentation.
Yeah, I know.
All right. I do have some hard copies for everybody if they want to.
I love a hard copy.
What's that?
I keep all of them, and my wife is complaining about all the presentation hard copies I keep at home now to write my notes on them. Thank you.
You can go back and review last year's notes and see if there's any difference.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. I was gonna say we got you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna just jump right at it, or
However you'd like to do it.
let's just jump right at it like we always do, right? Okay. So this year we spent a great amount of time really kind of going through our budget with a fine-tooth comb to try and find areas that we can stick to the town manager's mandate to try and find areas of efficiencies, areas of reduction without affecting our core services. And I'm very pleased to say that we were able to do that. And not only did we not affect our core services, we were basically mainly able to maintain all of our services. And as you'll see, as we go through this, that we were able to do that with a nominal increase in our overall budget. So quick refresher, we have a little bit of a difference in our organizational chart from last time that we were before you. We have on the right-hand side, you'll see we have COIN as part of our organizational makeup, and we're going to go over that a little bit when we get closer. We have 21 sworn officers, 1 chief, 1 deputy, 5 sergeants, 1 school resource officer, 2 detectives, and 11 patrol. We have 10 communications officers. 1 is the communications manager, and the other is the 9 dispatchers. We have 2 admin staff that comprises of 1 office manager and 1 department assistant. We have 1 animal control officer. Right now we don't have any detainee watch personnel. We have approximately 10 to 15 civilian traffic control members. And we have as we just talked about, our jail diversion program, COIN. That's comprised of a 1 jail diversion program manager, 2 co-response clinicians, and 1 community resource navigator. We're going to just kind of go over a little bit of a snapshot of the Ayer Police Department's activity over the last several years. So as you'll see that we're looking at our motor vehicle stops here, where we have a slight increase in this, but with an overall increase in our stops there, and that'll play a little part later on in the next couple slides. So moving on to the next slide, you'll see we have our arrests and our criminal applications. So our arrests are up a little, and our criminal applications are trending down. The next slide, we'll talk about our motor vehicle collisions, and this we can probably attribute to a couple different things. One, our motor vehicle enforcement, and also our 4-way stop sign on Groton Harvard Road and Central Ave, which I'm not going to say that we haven't had an accident since we did that, but we haven't. So it's in that accounted for a great amount of accidents down there. So we're pretty happy with that. And then the next slide just talks about our overall incidents, and these are just the general reports that we talk about. It's the trend line is showing as a slight increase, and it is a slight increase from the last year. So we're staying busy. We're overall a little bit busier in areas. The next slide will just show kind of the breakdown of our activity over the course of the week and time of day. It has changed a little bit. We did have Wednesday was a drop off. We got kind of a little kind of a stick figure birds thing going on up there. So, but Wednesday used to be kind of one of our higher days for whatever reason. So it's had a drop off, and then our Saturday and Sunday, which are our weekends, are our lower days for incidents and arrests. Time of day, you can kind of see as people are getting home from, getting home into from work or whatever, we have that increase, and that kind of carries us right through. But this also includes all our traffic stops, accidents, things like that. So, and then it dies right off as we get to the late night hours and the overnight hours, and then we pick up for everything else. So, and that pretty much is the same. When you see some of those sharp drop-offs, like you see at 1400, we're probably going to attribute that to that's our shift change in the afternoon. So our officers are switching out at that time. So probably accounting for a lot of the traffic stops that are out there. Okay, next slide. Any questions about what we just talked about on our overall activity or general makeup of the police department? We're going to jump right in, and we're going to talk about the police department's budget, which the next one will show the highlight of what incorporates the police department's budget. And in the police department's budget, that's the admin, records, patrol sergeants, school resource officer, and the detective bureau. Next slide. Okay, so a little bit of an update. We have our admin sergeant is in full play this time. We're happy to announce that Sergeant Pearson has been installed into that position and is working out great, and really taking that position and growing with it. So we're happy that we finally get that up and running, and we're going to continue to see efficiencies in our administrative functions there. Next, also happy to report that our detective bureau is fully staffed. We have Detective Manier and Detective Serpernot. They've also been put in there, and they're doing a great job there as well. So we're very happy we finally have that. Yes. And you don't have to raise your hand.
I watched a lot of Law and Order as a kid, right? I'm just curious, like, what was common, like, crime that a detective would do in town?
Awesome question. So what we have, a lot of things that we're doing right now is we're doing a lot of internet crime, and we're doing a lot of financial scam crimes. One of our detectives is very good at kind of tracking down and working on the financial crimes where people are getting scammed. So we're really trying to be if somebody does get scammed, try and get it to it as soon as possible so we can kind of put the brakes on. But what we look to is make sure that they both are they have the ability to do any job in there. They both will have kind of like their forte, we'll say, but they will both be able to do everything there. Yes.
So, in recruiting and trying to hire a detective nowadays, does it, in going through like the academy, is there a lot more electronic crime training, or do you like look for people that went to like computer engineering school or something? Like, how do you?
That's so you don't get it in the academy. The academy is basic police work. So you're learning everything about policing, and it's about 5 months of training. You do get oriented into it and kind of to understand the scope and the breadth of the problem of it, and how to, as a patrol officer, how would you deal with those kind of things. And it's mainly report writing and documenting the things that you can gather for detectives. But what we look for when we're looking for detectives is what have they been doing as a patrol officer, and what were they looking, how were they operating with the cases that they were getting. And the detectives, the two that there are really standouts. They were taking their patrol cases and trying to work them as detectives, and but at the same time trying to do all the patrol work that came with it. So they were taking it upon themselves to learn how to do these advanced classes and things like that. So that's kind of how detectives kind of come about.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and next slide. We have one of our patrol officers that's in the academy. We'll say that's the green one. They just started in February. We're expecting to get that officer out of the academy in July, and then they'll start their field training program, which is about 11 to 14 weeks, depending. And we are interviewing next week for that final, we'll say, the yellow patrol officer spot there. And we're confident that we're going to have somebody, or at least a good focus on next week on that. So, and with that would bring our complement up to fully staffed. And we're very excited about that. It's been a long, kind of several years, but we're meticulous in who we bring on, and what we've learned over the years is that if you just put somebody in boots and get them out there, it's just going to lead to it's not a situation that you want. You want to be particular about who you bring in. Make sure you do thorough backgrounds. And I would much rather, and I know the deputy feels the same, is would much rather have a vacant position than have somebody that shouldn't be in that position. So, Sure.
How competitive is Ayer? Like is it just what people are looking for, or is it just like I want to work in the suburbs, right? You're in the suburbs.
So competitive in what, like money-wise?
Just like I'm sure, like if people are in Boston, they like working in a city, they wouldn't come to Ayer, right? Or is it?
Yeah, mostly people are regional. So the officers that are working here are generally from this area, or they have some sort of connection to this area. We're very happy to report that we have several residents that are our officers, and those are people we home grew, right from the town of Ayer and Shirley. So we're happy about that, and then most of our other people are from this general area.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's talk about why we're here, right? So this is the police department budget and everybody we talked about. This is the overall kind of look as to the last several years. And like I said, we're very happy to report that this year we're coming in with a 2.57 increase, which is surmounts to that 81,000 right there. You'll do see that we have what appeared to be a large increase and a large decrease, and we can talk about those when we get there. All right, moving on. So we're going to talk about first the first line here, 51,000 there, 55,000. So this is the salary, the line that myself and the deputy chief come out of. This mainly comprises contractual and COLA increases there. Next is the wages line. The wages line is where the sergeants and patrol officers come out of, the office manager, department assistant, and the air civilian traffic control. There's the budget drivers on this there's contractual step and COLA increases. The new clerical union CBA that covers the department assistant is included in this. Education incentives, which are actually it was a net decrease than what we normally do. So when we plan these out, we plan for the highest liability in there. So when we had a vacant position, we plan for somebody that possibly coming in with a master's degree, and a master's degree has a higher incentive. In the latest hire, that person does not have a master's degree, so we were able to realize an overall net decrease in the education incentives line. We do have a comfort K9 right now, and with a K9, whether it's a patrol dog or a comfort dog or a service dog like that, there's required care and maintenance that we have to pay to that officer, because there's care that they have to do off the clock. So that for us, that includes a half-hour a day care and maintenance. So that officer gets a half-hour a day increase into that. And then the detainee watch is we were able to we weren't using the detainee watch because of a program that we're using with the Middlesex County Sheriffs. That if we have a detainee that needs to be held for a length of time, we can ship them over to the Billerica House of Correction. They will watch us and transport back to court. So, and that's a program that the sheriff offers to the police departments in Middlesex County. So we were confident that we could lower that line down. Next, we have our OT line. So the OT line, this is where we do our time off, our in-service training, report writing and investigation, specialized services, and where our court comes out of. So as of 3/1, we're at 47.1% expended. This is where a bulk of our, we have it seems like, okay, if we're at 3/1 and we're at less than 50%, why aren't we reducing it? The spring and the early summer, we have a bulk of our training, and that's where that comes out of. We're also expecting our community events to be increasing on the horizon. We have the potential for an increase in the parades and holiday efforts that we're expected to be at. We're also having, we've started our Citizens Police Academy back up. That requires officers to work off shift. And we have a couple other things in the works that we're excited about, and we just want to make sure that we're able to continue to do that. The other thing is that when we come up to full staff, those 2 officers are also going to start incurring overtime on the things that they need to do. So even though we're short, the officers here, when they come on, we're going to, there's overtime liabilities there. So we can expect report and invest to increase, and especially with the 2 detectives, where, that they're working off hours a lot. And with detectives, the new officers, we also expect our court costs to increase. So we're confident, though, that we'll be able to do everything that we need to do without increasing the budget from last year for the overtime. All right, so we're on to services. So out of services, this is where we do our new hire testing, vehicle maintenance, and maintenance agreements. So some of the budget drivers here, the major budget drivers, and this is where I want to do some in-depth explaining. So looks like we're 24% increase. So we do have a 24% increase there. But what we did in this line was removed because we're going to be hopefully up to full staff, we're not going to need to do any new hire testing because we're not going to need to do any new hiring next year. So we removed that. We've also reduced our vehicle maintenance. We've gotten into a kind of a new maintenance kind of scheme where we're using major work out of our dealership and our routine maintenance out of a local shop. So we've been experiencing a reduction there. So we're confident that we can reduce that line there for us. We were also able to go to Verizon, and we were able to work with Verizon and get a much lower Verizon rate for our cell phones that we employ. We do employ a lot of cell phones in our department. So where a majority of all this is okay, if we do all these reductions, why are we seeing an increase? So we've had a major increase in our IT services, but it's not as it seems. So we, I don't know if we talked about it in any of the budget spots, but we changed IT providers, and we changed the way that our whole network infrastructure is. So historically, all what we paid for was our IT security, and that's what the police department covered. Let's see. So previously, so IT security, we paid $43,000 for IT security for our entire department and the dispatch. So, and that was security and on-site backup. What we do now pay for is, so we have the new security company. The security, what we had to do was we had to become CGIS compliant, and we're moving our entire network operations into the cloud. So what we're, and the other thing that we absorbed was our emails. So the email used to come out of the town, and that was something that the town paid for. So we, because of the CGIS compliance that we had to do, and CGIS is a government networking system that we have to comply with. So we took the price and cost of the email services and took that on ourselves. We maintained the network security, and the other thing that we absorbed for the town was creating this cloud infrastructure because we needed it, but the town could also benefit from it. So what we're moving towards is a complete and total secure cloud networking infrastructure for our police department and for the regional communication center. Yeah, so that's where it's at. So it's an increase. Some of the money's been shifted off of the town's IT, and then some of the resources that we're having, the town also benefits from. So it's a major shift. It's still undergoing right now. There's so much that has to go into making this happen, but we're probably, we're hopefully by this budget cycle everything will be all said and done. Yes.
Or is any of that one-time cost, or will that be the same essentially next year and ongoing?
That's going to be the same. It's and we've been the company that we're working with is they've been working with us for almost about a year now to get this going, and they're confident that this price is going to be there's not going to be any major shifts in this price. So for us and for the town. So yeah, and this is gonna give us actually the other benefit to having this cloud network is all of our server hardware. We're not gonna have to be maintaining all of that, and I don't know if servers are several thousands of dollars depending on which ones you get. In the PD alone, we have 5 that we're hoping that we can get through this project before the main ones go down. They're well over 5 years. But it's also the town is also going to be reducing their server profile. So it's going to be the long-term savings in this cloud networking structure is immense.
How much is your cloud service?
I'm sorry?
How much does your cloud service cost? Like a total budget of the 190,000. How much is the cloud service from?
Of the network?
Yeah. The part that you're saying that you are offloading from the town's budget.
So let's see. So the security cloud network is 61,000.
Oh.
So
And
part
then
of that
it
was
looks like we transferred approximately 23 from the town to that number.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if you're doing it this year, 31,000 doesn't cover that. But you said you've already been working with them for a year, so part of it was in last year's budget.
Correct, where part of that's there, but it's, so the email, so the cost for the email that we've absorbed that's in this number for next year was being, paid for in part out of the town's budget, so it's a shifted number. All right, next, utilities, that's our projected, with the numbers that we're getting now, that's the projected increase that we have just for the electric down at our radio shack up at not the Radio Shack, but the radio up at the towers, and then the Verizon business lines out of there. So we're just projecting a slight increase there. Next would be the supplies line. It's just we're just projecting a slight decrease in there, mainly because we had some cost increases just in line with actual spending, but the removal of the academy students actually showed the reduction. So the amount that we would pay for an academy student was more than the increases in supply line. Clothing, kind of the same thing here. So what's in clothing is the contractual clothing and equipment, replacing expiring body armor, replacing worn and serviceable equipment. So the budget drivers here, major decrease here, so removal of the new hires here, and the number of officers needing body armor for the upcoming year. Last year we had it was a big year for replacing body armor. This year not so much, just the way that the cycle works. Body armor is good for 5 years before it needs to be replaced, and we just keep everybody on whatever rotation they are, and that's what we put in. The other thing that we did was we switched to a different body armor product and a carrier, it's that was reduction there as well. So, and the switch to this body armor had nothing to do with money. It just turns out it was that way. It was a much better product, much lighter product, and it was the officers really took to it. So, doing a trial and evaluation period. Okay, expenses. Also an area of reduction. Out of expenses comes our professional dues, training, subscription fees, and tuition reimbursement. And this is really driven by the removal of academy costs there. Okay, next, capital. So this is the only thing we have in our operating capital is every year we replace a cruiser, and that puts them generally on a 5-year cycle. For a police car, that's really at the end of its life cycle. The vehicle that's coming up this year is the supervisor's vehicle. So they're the ones that respond to all the calls and back up their officers. We're going to be moving that car to an Expedition platform rather than an Explorer platform for 2 reasons. One, it's a bigger car and it can carry a little bit more equipment to bring to scenes when they go to work with their officers. The other is we want to figure out if moving to the Expedition platform will be a little bit more solid and cars will spend less time in service. Our cars do spend a lot of time in service. There's a lot of electronic components, especially with the hybrid. Though there's some gas savings with it, there's a lot of stuff that breaks on it, and we're down cars for days at a time. Fortunately, sometimes it's warranty, so it doesn't have to do it. We just had a car that was only 2,000 miles that had to go to the shop for 3 days. The Expedition does not have the hybrid system in it, so we're going to try and see if that is a little bit more rugged for our uses as a police car. As you can see, there's a slight increase in moving to that.
I just wondering, I see that not just Ayer, but most municipal, seems like all the police and fire department cars are all American cars. Did you guys ever consider would a Japanese car be an option? Would they have the reputation be more reliable?
Great question. I don't know the answer to that. I know that the vehicles that are traditionally used are the bigger trucks, for lack of a better term, and they're also geared towards. They have a line that are they're not civilian models, so they're kind of really
So
stripped
limited,
down.
okay.
Like they're
They're manufactured for
I
in
see,
design
I see.
for
So,
police.
okay.
And then obviously, let's say if whatever your equipment company is, does the back seats and does the, bars and it does they all work together to then get the components to then go in. And, there was a huge change years ago when we went from the Crown Victoria, the old Ford, Crown Vics to then the Ford Explorers. And, to some that was a lot, but then it took some time. Every night we had a charger for a short period of time and it didn't work out for us. So I think, keeping things consistent, and obviously you want the officers to be driving a consistent platform, when they're responding to emergencies.
Yes.
So does the department have backup vehicles when one is in the shop for 3 days? Do they just take another?
So our backup vehicles are usually older vehicles. We haven't made a huge push to try and keep a backup fleet.
So what happens when the brand new car is in the shop for 3 days?
We take one of the older cars and drive that. The problem becomes what happens when 2 cars go down or 3 cars go down, which has happened to us. And then we're at the hopefully no cars go down kind of mode. And that's why we try to keep we try to keep a robust maintenance program going. We try to catch these things early. We've put some, we have not a program, it's an online form that the officers filled out before their shifts. And so it instantly, if they, whatever they have, they check off, they do their cruiser inspections, and if there's anything amiss, they can put it in there, and it automatically gets sent out to myself, the deputy, and the vehicle maintenance crew, that they make sure that it just gets into the shop and gets squared away as soon as possible. It's been relatively successful in finding things early and getting it into the shop earlier. But still, I mean, again, you know, things happen on a you know, the brand new car, you know, something with the gas pedal, there's a sensor on a gas pedal, and it broke. And it just, you know, the car had to limp it into a parking lot, and then they limped it back to our parking lot. So things happen. So you just, it's one of those things you just try and move with. You know, when we increased our patrol staff several years ago, we never increased our patrol fleet, and we've been able to make it work with the you know, with the admin sergeant. The admin sergeant, fortunately, is driving the new pickup truck that we got through Capital last year. So that kind of takes the heat off of trying to find another car to be driven around like that. But you know, we're trying to do our best without increasing our motor fleet as much as possible. Any questions on the police budget part of this?
Earlier you mentioned the K9. Sorry.
Yep.
We've heard a lot about health insurance. Does that fall under the town's budget?
That is under the town's budget.
Okay. All right.
We will talk a little bit about it under the coin budget.
Okay.
I was just wondering, was that K9 a new addition, or have you always had this?
Brand new edition.
So what was the
Noticed he's
rationale?
not here tonight.
I know.
I did. I did
He was
request it.
requested to be.
Yeah.
I did tell the chief.
Yeah.
I tried to steal him.
Yeah.
For some reason, he likes Mike. I don't know.
So it's a comfort dog.
Yeah, I know. Well, when did it was a decision made to have a K9? I mean,
It was this year. It was our our school resource officer. In his travels and in that kind of assignment, it's there was a lot of comfort dogs in that assignment throughout the Commonwealth, throughout the country for that matter. So he came to us with the idea that he wanted to try and see if he could make it happen. With a lot of ideas, what we do is we tell the officers or ask them to say, listen, come up with a program, come up with, what's it gonna cost, kind of have them do that in our school resource officer, Mike Niccolo, did that, and sold it. So it was his own personal dog that he was using. It was a puppy when he got it, and that's when he said, I want to try and make this happen. And then there's some things we have to do with personal dogs, but he's got his uniform, and he comes into work with them in the morning and goes to school with them and all that.
I see. So it's mainly for the school.
He's assigned to the school resource officer, and he's up there a lot, but he comes out to other things, and
Wonderful. So it's the officer's dog to start with. So it's not like you had to go acquire a dog.
Nope. Yes, it's so it was kind of a win-win. Win for the officer and win for us. But it's a great program, and I'm glad we were able to get that off the ground, and I'm glad Mike was able to put all the pieces together for it. So.
Wonderful.
He had a great start, but obviously he's been going through training and being certified to be,
Yeah, that's what I thought. There must be a lot of certification
Yeah.
required.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how much does that part cost you?
The care and maintenance.
Yeah.
So it's a half hour of overtime a day. Let me see if I.
Oh, so it counts as overtime.
Yeah. So because it's you got to feed it, walk it. It's built. It's a state law to make.
So
to do
overtime pay to the owner.
that. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Who is up for this
Yeah,
officer?
the
Yep.
owner, which happens to be the handler. Yeah.
So that add up over time. So half an hour a day, but we're talking about a whole year, right? That's like a 20 well, 10 hours, if we count 4 weeks, that 10 hours a month, so that's 120 hours a year, or a little more than that.
So it would be 10 hours every 2 weeks, 26, so 260 hours.
Yeah. So how much does that?
Let me see if I have that. I do have that. So the K9 adds $12,738.99.
I see.
And that's just in the wages line.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions on the police budget? These are all great questions. So.
Eric?
Any chance for the comfort dog to get a promotion? You gonna see him?
He's going to take the assessment center and do all that. So we'll see. He look good with stripes though. We'll see.
So does anybody else get to play with the dog? Or
Oh yeah.
I try to steal them as much as possible in my office.
So if we want to go to, not during school hours, but after school hours, if we want to go, go to pet a dog and,
Yeah, he's come this summer. You'll see him, when he's not in school because he'll still be with the. So when school's not in session,
Okay.
Officer Niccolo becomes part of the patrol staff.
Okay.
So he'll be out and about, during the day shift more. Everybody will see him more from there. All
Maybe in
right.
Robert's office.
All right. So moving on to the communication center. All right. So this is the overall picture of it. And yeah, so we'll just kind of jump right at it. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is this overall this picture here. So this is what our support and incentive grant is going to look like for FY27. So this is what we're going to be receiving. The support and incentive grant covers wages and services. So that's what we're going to get, and we apply that to our budget. The regional development grant hasn't been issued yet, but this is what we are operating in FY26. So for this year, we had $174,000 grant. The training grant also hasn't come out yet. And this is what it was in FY26. We're expecting it not to be too far off from these numbers. These are pretty solid numbers. And the EMD grant is that there, and that's for FY27. What the EMD grant covers is the EMD software that the dispatchers use when you call. It helps them mitigate medical calls on the phones. The training grant covers all in-service and professional development training. It covers the class fees and the overtime for those. Let's see, the regional development grant, it's a special grant that we get because we're a regional communication center. So we generally apply to any equipment needs that we have at the center. And then the 911 support and incentive is kind of what it's right there in the thing. It just supports the center as a whole. Yes.
Where do the grants come from?
So I don't think anybody looks at their phone bills that much. So on your phone bills, there's some service charges on your phone bills for 911 services, and that's all what goes in there. So it's the state 911 department has a healthy budget.
How's it allocated? Who makes the decision where it goes?
Yeah, you know what? This is a great question. So it goes a little bit by call volume. It goes a little bit by community need, and we're mainly talking about the support incentive grant. So we get a healthy sum compared to some of the communities there. So we're fortunate to get the support from 911 that we do on this. So what we have up here is kind of a breakdown and a visual depiction of how these grants affect our budget. So our initial starting budget for the dispatch line, as you can see, is right up there. It's just a little bit over $1 million. The support and incentive grant, which does the wages and services line, and that's where it gets applied to there. The 911 training grant goes into our overtime line, and the 911 EMD grant goes into our services line. So that, as you can see, directly offsets the budget. So that brings kind of the number that we see on the budget sheet there at a little bit over $500,000, $565,000. This year, the assessment for Shirley coming up in FY27 will go up from $200,000 to $225,000. So that doesn't go into our dispatch budget. That gets put into the overall budget for the town. So so we get supported through that by the assessment that goes into the overall budget. So what we see at the very bottom here is kind of a visual reference of what the budget looks like with the Shirley assessment included. So that's there, and it is less than last year because of the increase in the Shirley assessment.
Real quick, is there ever a chance that someone else, like Littleton, calls and is like, hey, you know what? Look, we want to regionalize even more?
Yeah, there's always a chance, and 911 is they're always looking to merge areas together. They really want to try and get the standalones, to merge with somebody. So there's always a possibility. We do have room for expansion in our center. It's our center it would be really fitted for one of our smaller towns that surround us. There's so we're always open to that. The question becomes, what is the actual savings? Because we would have to really crunch down some numbers and figure out, because we run with 2 dispatchers on to cover Ayer and Shirley, and sometimes that day doesn't seem like that doesn't seem like enough. So we would have to look at, depending on the community that comes in, what do we have to do for additional manpower on our 3rd workstation. So it's a work in progress. It seems so it wouldn't be just directly offsetting that. Would have to figure out like what increased staffing would be, and how the effect of an assessment of a 3rd town would be. But we're always open to it. Any questions on that part of it? Good. All right, moving on. Let's see. So the salary, this is one person that comes out of here. This is the communications operations manager. The drivers in this are just contractual and COLA increases. Next slide is the dispatchers' wages. So this is where our 9 full-time dispatchers and 2 per diem dispatchers pull from. The drivers here are the contractual step and COLA increases and the support incentive grant. So with all of that, there's just that nominal increase there. In our overtime line, we're not requesting any increase in here. We're confident that the training grant that offsets all the training OT will be covered and give us enough, and that will be enough for us to also cover our time off court and community events that they attend. Looking at the next line, services, this is where the maintenance agreements come out of. So we did have a remarkable decrease here. We restructured some of our annual maintenance agreements, and we've achieved an overall net decrease. So we looked at our CAD and RMS as we did in our on the police side, and we were able to find some areas that we weren't using as much, and we didn't really need them on board. So we were able to kind of streamline that a little bit. Because of the moving to the cloud-based network, we don't need to have Citrix anymore as our conduit to having Shirley That's how Shirley would come to us, is through a Citrix network. We don't need that anymore because it's going to be cloud-based and we'll be able to go right through that. We were also able to see a reduction in our radio maintenance. So we were there. And then part of the support and incentive grant allows us to take 60% of our largest maintenance agreement and apply that to there. So we used our RMS software, which was our biggest maintenance agreement, and just got 60% reimbursed from that. Next would be our supplies line. We're not asking for any change here. We're pretty sure that we can get by. This is just where our office and general supplies come out of for the center. The next is clothing. It's just a slight decrease, and that's just because we reduced the amount of per diems from 5 to 3 that we would have on board. So we reduced 2 out of there, and their clothing is that's all just their clothing there.
They had 2 per diem.
We have 2. We're keeping a third position in case we need to have that. It's having the per diems is a benefit because they will backfill for the dispatch staff, and they don't require overtime, so they'd be just a straight kind of thing. So we're gonna keep it to 3 and. Okay, next is the expense line. This is where professional dues, training, subscription fees, and the tuition reimbursement comes out of. The increase here is the communications manager's tuition reimbursement. So if he goes back to school, that's the amount, the increase for him to go to a college. All right, and that's the dispatch in a nutshell. Any questions on dispatch? All right, we're going to talk about coin. So coin is new to the not to the town, but as a town entity. I don't know if we talked about it during the last year, but so we were in a position where we were going to lose this valuable program that was fully grant funded. We were able to be in a position to take on the grant and bring on the employees there as technical town employees. So the important thing, and this goes to your question, Mr. France, is does health insurance and everything, where does that fall under the budget? So everything else except under coin, coin it's factored into here. So the way that the jail diversion program grant works is that it covers the entire program. So the entire program includes all of the benefits, all of anything that goes with having that person working is covered by this grant. So the town is actually out zero. So everything is absolutely covered by this grant here. When we apply for the grant, we have to again apply for the highest liability. So we apply. We say that that this is the highest level of insurance that somebody could possibly have and get during their open enrollment period. So we have to kind of do that, and then as the year plays out, the numbers are as they are this year are relatively smaller because of the insurance choices and things like that the employees make. So we work with Department of Mental Health to even out the budget that way. So they will pull back money as they see we're not going to be using it. So, but this program is completely and totally funded by the Department of Mental Health.
So when will the grant run out?
So it's a yearly grant, and we're getting ready to apply for it again. But one of the things that we have to do, and that I'm going to be on the horn with our state legislature is putting the funding back into mental health programs. So statewide, to run all of these programs in the Commonwealth is about 19 million, and it's been reduced to 3. So what we have to do is, this happened last year. For whatever reason, we're repeating it. But we go back and we, as not only the police professionals, but all of everybody in the industry has got to go and they talk to their legislatures and say, you got to get this funding back in place. The importance of this program can't be understated. We deal with people in mental health crisis probably just as much as we deal with, crime. And the days of arresting ourselves out of a mental health problem is got to be over. And what these programs allow us to do is to get the people pointed in the proper direction rather than in a jail cell. So just tonight, we have a co-response clinician riding in an air police car with an air police officer going to calls. And if there's somebody in mental health crisis, we make sure that it's that it's a safe area, and then the clinician, if it's a mental health call, they take care of it. And it's huge, and it's actually a huge impact since we don't have much more of an impact since we don't have a hospital that we can bring somebody to. So we've got to triage these people in the street. So it's a huge program.
Yeah, if I could just add just 3 points. Echo the chief's sentiment that since COIN started, it's been an invaluable resource to the department and to the town, and I do applaud all of his efforts to save it, and we remain committed to it. Secondly, in part, not the whole reason, but this in part allowed us to, where you'll see in the draft with the budget that the social worker position, which is vacant, is not going to be funded in FY27 because it's been vacant for so long, and that has to be reevaluated anyhow. I'm not saying COIN is the entire reason. We'll talk more about that at the budget forum. And then just the third point, though we remain confident that this will continue, I just want the FinCom to understand that the intermunicipal agreement, and though these are town employees, and I'm not trying to be, because I'm an optimist, but if the grant were to be reduced or the grant would go away, so would the program. So I just, at this time, just to be clear, that if the grant goes away, as you can see, it's quite expensive, the omnibus budget could not support that. So just, and Chief and I did a lot of work on that with the partners. So it's not, if for some reason the grant is reduced or we lose the grant funding, it's not a default to the town budget.
I was going to ask if the personnel costs here will, that person become a permanent town employee and be.
Yeah, it's structured right now that the grant is covering everything, including like the pension assessment costs and so forth. But if we were to lose the grant, we would lose the program.
Is there anything at a voter level that we could be influencing our legislators?
The same as I'm going to be doing is contacting the legislature and making them aware that how important this program is to the town of Ayer and into the 9 communities that we share this program with. So that's the big thing, is the legislatures are going to, and as they did last year, and I think they all recognize the importance of jail diversion programs in town, and properly funding mental health programs out in the communities.
So the 9 communities together, does each town have their own representatives, or is it Ayer that's sort of the?
So
meaning that would every town lose their?
Yeah. So the intermunicipal agreement is that we hold the grant, we have the employees, we get the funding, but there was the sharing of them is all part of that intermunicipal agreement. So we and so there's two co-response clinicians split up amongst them, and they have a rotating basis throughout the towns. And then the community resource navigator is also roaming into the different areas, and becoming more of a staple in the community, especially in Ayer. The main office is in Ayer, but we're just making some inroads with the library. There's going to be some office hours in the library and things like that. So we're it's not only an important program for us, but it's an important program for the communities that have helped to develop this program over the 10 years that it's been developing and becoming what it is today.
These number of folks that are experiencing some sort of mental disability, is that trending up or down? Would you say?
Up. It's trending
I
up.
think it's up, and if I may, and I think we are, better training and better awareness.
Yeah.
We can now, instead of saying somebody behaved in a certain way that's criminal, and we lock them up, now, they, clearly people need to be responsible for their behavior, but was the underlying condition mental health or substance abuse? And really saying, okay, if this is the case, let's try to, let's get some help. Whether or not it's treatment for one or the other, dual diagnosis goes unfortunately hand in hand with a lot of these things. So we work with the court, we work with families, really trying to prevent it. We might see something coming like a slow freight train, like this is going to be a problem, and this is going to be continuous. And clearly you can't force one to, just like any medical thing, because it is a medical umbrella. You can't force somebody to due to certain treatment or certain medication, just like if it was for another medical condition. But we can do our best to, and the co-response clinicians, face-to-face, as well as our co-response navigator, really, having so many resources to be able to give people that are in need, as well as families, because I think we all at the table can understand it's not just one person in a family that's suffering, it's, everybody that, ends up needing help.
Is there additional training for the officers to
Absolutely.
get involved in that
We're
situation?
There's been I'd say over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a really big push to have officers trained in. We've heard the words de-escalation, but it goes much more than that. It's really kind of understanding the person, and kind of dealing with not the condition, but really becoming dealing with that person. And it's kind of, and they really focus on, inside. So it's got to become the officer that understands, how are they approaching these things. So it's really, looking at the issue from, every angle to help do this. So there's CIT, it's an acronym, I think.
Crisis intervention training.
Thank you. So that's that's a thing that we're trying to get all of our officers slowly certified in. It's a weeks long training. Everybody that comes out of it is a transformed officer in dealing with these kind of situations and crisis calls. These are the numbers so this is what we applied for and got for FY26, the 400,000. The FY27, that's going to be the application number. And again, those are the highest liability numbers that we have to apply for. It scales back down to actual usages, but we've got to do so the town doesn't become effective. We have to do the maximum liability to that. This is just some data that we have that's available to us. Just kind of like the types of how the usage of coin has grown. So the gray bars are FY25 numbers, and then the FY26 numbers are there. So it's the October through December, it just skyrocketed. But it's and then the July through September, we were just coming back online because it did have, as there was a transition, there was a lull. So it's definitely a well-used program with that. So, animal control. Not much. There's not much change here. We can just kind of bing through. The only change in this is again the collective. She's part of the collective bargaining unit, and that was just the contractual COLA changes there. Everything else we're confident that we can make happen without any increases. So. And so we can kind of blast through all these. There's no change, no change. And then the only other thing I just wanted to add in that is kind of different than this year is our capital budget request, which should be the next slide. Just wanted to see if anybody had any questions about our capital budget request that got approved at the capital planning committee. So it's we've got a building that's coming up on 30 years. It's the building in the areas that don't get updated are definitely showing wear and tear. The furniture that hasn't been updated is not ergonomically designed. They're basically countertops with chairs. Office spaces are not designed for efficient use of space. As you can see, it's just a big room. This. Let's see, and then the filing and document storage is, we just got filing, just old-fashioned filing cabinets there. So what we take pride in is the fact that when somebody comes into our police station, they are amazed that it's a 30-year-old building because of the facilities maintenance that goes, the director that takes care of our building, as well as our systematic updating of the building that started approximately 5 to 6 years ago. And we just systematically are going through that building so we can get another 30 years out of the building. So originally we had a lot more for this year in our 5-year plan. We had a lot more. We were going to try and get a couple different rooms done at the same time. Understanding our financial constraints here, what we scaled back this, but with the caveat that we applied a need versus want, and I think somewhere we're in the middle with the need versus want. I mean, the detectives in the detective bureau can still cozy on up to their countertop and work. But what we want to do is get them workspaces that are state of the art, that are comfortable, and that will take the department for another 30 years in there. So we worked with the company that's been systematically updating our department. They designed this up for us, and this is where we're at. So, if there's any questions on this, I can answer. Yeah.
Sorry to keep asking.
No,
questions,
this is why we're here.
So, I have a short attention span, and if I hear background noise, I can't concentrate. And that open concept, how are folks? Is there a private room where you can go make a call, or how does that get managed?
No, that's their room.
Okay.
And it does, there are some, concerns there. Especially if you have, other agencies and, working, alongside that. We do a lot of regional work, a lot of work with our, state partners. If the other detectives, working on something over there, it's, it does offer that challenge, but.
Sorry. So there used to be a furniture company that retrofitted these types of systems. Actually, labor was from Concord Prison. They're based in Hudson, so I don't know if I assume you're getting new furniture, but I don't know if that's a consideration. So I don't know if it's even still in business. Used to be in Hudson.
More prison.
Huh?
Yeah, Concord Prison is
No, I
closed.
understand. There's a Shirley Prison too. I mean, there's lots of resources.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know that the.
It's just a question.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and we're always looking for, ways to get things done, the most cost-effective and efficient. And the other thing is we want to make sure it's going to last. We don't, you can buy, and I'm not saying it is. You can buy, we can buy, cheap furniture, but we'll be visiting that in 2 years, and trying to do it again.
How much is your request? How much are you asking?
This is. Give me 2 seconds here. So this is to do that whole room and everything you see there is $28,500.
Not so bad compared to what I have
That's a
been
bargain.
doing.
I want to be clear. It's $28,500. That's it.
Not $28.
Not 2,800. I just wanted to make sure we were clear.
We'll be revisiting it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean.
So, but we're, again, it's a building that was, I came into that building, when I was a youngster.
From that corner there.
Yep, from pretty much right here, and moved over there. The building's done us well.
I was gonna say, it's hard to believe it's 30 years old.
And it really, I that's a testament to the facilities department, who are constantly doing great work for us and for the entire town, and for the town to support the systematic upgrade of the department. One of the things that we are going to be having to visit, just to throw it on the radar of everybody, is just our parking situation there. We can talk about that later, but parking is a challenge. We do have some parking. I don't know if we're part of the San Andreas fault or whatever, but our back parking lot seems to be falling into the abyss.
Oh, really?
So
When you come to see Maverick, we can show you around.
I didn't even know that you have a back parking lot. I always
Yeah, all
thought
our
that-
cruisers are on the back lot.
That's
And every year it just seems like now, when I had to park my cruiser in a separate spot, I'm like, now I'm putting my e-brake on, which I never did before. So probably a bigger thing to last, again, another 30 years.
and I can. Yeah.
The more people we have, as our department grows, then, come shift change, we're on top of each other for parking as well. So not only we're sinking into the abyss, but also we need more parking. So we'll,
You could, I don't know, the commuter parking lot that they built. It's a little
We can all use extra steps, but that's too many. But I can tell you that Chuck of the facilities department is actively looking at it and just trying to keep his
Yeah, I was
his
just
finger on
thinking that the idea like a building up,
Yeah.
on another level. But if it's thinking that even at a surface level, obviously the ground is not strong enough to support another level.
yeah, it's a whole nother,
Yeah.
it's a whole nother one, someone else's engineering.
So that's basically us in a nutshell. For this, again, we're very proud of the budget that we were able to put together and give to the town to help achieve the overall budget increase that the town manager gave us. I'm happy to answer any questions about budget or anything else at the PD.
Anything? There's no online, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
Looks like you're off the hook.
Yes, we're-
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As always.
Thanks, Chief.
Next time, bring the dog.
Yeah, that's right. We all want to see the
It's a
dog.
no vote until we get the dog.
in the dog overtime.
Yeah, right?
That's okay.
We can assume him.
Reserve transfer approved.
We should do puppy yoga, do puppy financial committee.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Especially this time of year. All right, Robert, you are last man standing.
So, Mr. Chairman and members of the FinCom, so I know that it's late, it's 7:30. On here was review of draft number 2 of the budget, which you have, and just a review of the free cash. Now, recommendation. I will point out that we're going to cover both of these on Wednesday, March 25th at 6 p.m. at the budget forum. So in interest of time, if the committee wants, we can cover everything. You're going to be there on Wednesday.
My suggestion would be to skip the draft 2
Okay.
and quickly cover the free
Yep.
cash? Because I don't know if everyone looked
Yeah.
at it yet.
So again, let me just, good point. So we're going to go over draft 2 on Wednesday. So your homework assignment, which is mine, is to put together your questions and so forth on draft 2, and we'll cover that. And then on April 2nd, when you meet next, April 2nd at 6, we're going to review the financial articles to the warrant, which you'll get in advance, as well as the budget. So on the free cash, this is what Barbara and I had presented to the FinCom back in February, and was also presented to the select board. So we have we have over 2.9 million in certified free cash for this year. And as the Finance Committee knows, ultimately, free cash is subject to the appropriation of town meeting. And we had proposed at the time, this was sort of our professional recommendation on the uses for free cash. And of course, as the FinCom knows, I mean, these numbers can be adjusted and so forth. But what we're proposing, the compensated balance fund, to put about 20,000 in there. The compensated balance fund is a fund that the town can use to fund, for example, when somebody retires, they're owed some payout and so forth. Historically, we don't always know when the retirements were. Sometimes those costs would hit the departmental budgets. So this was set up by town meeting back in 2020. It has a balance right now of 62,000, and the recommended balance from the Department of Revenue is about 75,000, and we know of some retirements on the horizon. So that's what we're proposing, to increase that slightly. The forward funding of the pension, which the FinCom is aware we've been doing this last several years at 300,000, to considerable savings to the town. In fact, this year, the pension assessment, I believe, was 6%. I'll check. If we hadn't forward funded it, it would have been higher, and I'll have those specifics. I don't with me right in front of me, but we have been realizing savings, significant savings by doing that. The OPEB, the post-employment benefits, what we, per the financial policy, says we'll put 300,000 in each year. We use the meals tax, which is anticipated, which is going to be 175,000, and then we use the balance from free cash to get to the 300,000. So we recommend 125,000 there. With the meals tax, gets us to the 300,000. The UDAG replenishment, the select board authorized $1 million for the senior center project, and of course, when we use UDAG funding, it's subject to the replenishment at future town meetings. We're recommending, given the high free cash this year, that the town replenish half of that. We can. We had proposed we could pay it back over a 10-year period at 100,000. Barbara had another scenario to pay it back over 4 years at 250,000. We're recommending a little on the higher side to get that replenished. I want to point out that historically our free cash average is about $1 million to $1.5 million. This year and last year was $3.2 million. We've had two higher than normal years. We're recommending on capital stabilization, town meeting authorized $2 million for the senior center from capital stabilization. We're recommending that the town consider putting $1 million back in. The current balance of stabilization is 6.1 million. That's with the 2 million out. Again, we could repay that in a more conservative or less aggressive way, but our feeling is where we have a higher than normal free cash to make progress on that front. Stabilization, still putting 620,680 in there. The current balance is 5.4. We exceed right now in the financial policies on stabilization. We exceed the minimum amount that we're supposed to have in there. And then Barbara presented, and I sent you this slide presentation again, which we had in February. She's proposing there are 3 projects that if we pay those down with the free cash, which would be 346,830, it would remove that amount from the tax bills or from the tax impact for next year, and there would be also another savings of about 61,000 in interest. And in the interest of time, the 3 slides after this in the presentation, just so Barbara had done this breakdown. So what she's proposing is these are 3 projects that if we pay them, there's the principal, the interest, the total, we would realize those savings. Let me go, sorry. Going the wrong way.
On the 9.
Nah, thank you. Sorry, lost my spot. So that is the recommendation from the finance manager, and I, of course, as you know, those numbers could be moved around. One of the things that has come up often is, well, with all of this free cash, why don't you pay off, either pay off more capital, or you'll often hear, we should apply that to the tax rate. Now, I know Barbara's not here tonight, but applying it to the tax rate, unfortunately, I'm not saying there wouldn't be a savings, but the savings would be so nominal. We're talking under $10 or less, probably $1 or so per tax bill. This type of an approach, and we can alter those numbers, is a much more, I think, responsible and proactive way that increases the value of the free cash. So we're going to, again, talk about this briefly on Wednesday. When we come back on April 2nd, and you'll see in the warrant articles, we'll have these amounts, but we're open to any, as you look at it, any suggestions.
Question on the first one, the compensator
Yeah.
balances, you said it's got 62K in it.
Yeah.
I know that every retiree is different, but
Mhm.
say on average, how many people would 62,000 cover? I'm wondering, should we put more in there?
So, excellent question, and it depends. So, for example, depending on the employee, like, for example, we have some, without anybody specific, say we have a 30-plus year employee retiring. Generally, he or she will have accumulated a certain amount of vacation.
Mhm.
There's a sick leave buyback incentive, and so forth. So I would say on a non-union 30-plus veteran, on average, the what we owe them to pay out could be somewhere between 10 to 15,000. That's on the high end.
Okay.
On not, because people sometimes retire as little as 10 years, believe it or not, if they meet the criteria, or 20, it could fluctuate.
Okay.
We haven't had, the last time we had a lot, and why this was created was actually at COVID, lost a lot of senior department heads, God bless them. They earned it, they could retire, and rather than staying another 2 or 3 years during COVID, they were able to go. But on the horizon, we feel that will be a sufficient number. So that would put it at about 82,000. And we haven't funded it the last couple of cycles. But excellent question.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I don't want to open up some really long discussion.
Okay. He's also
boy.
open to emails.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And Wednesday we'll be covering this too.
The group meeting, I like to call them
Yes.
group meetings. Okay, and there's still no one online?
Nope, there's nobody there.
Okay, so that means no, unless you got some public input. Well, we just talked about our next meeting, group meeting.
Which will be when?
April 2nd at 6, Thursday. So we'll see
Oh,
you.
did you fix the website? It
Yes,
said 7.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
That was the last thing I wanted
Yes,
to bring up.
yes. So Wednesday, March 25th at 6 will be the public budget forum, which is a joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom, and all the department heads will be here. And then you guys are meeting April 2nd at 6 to, one of the items is to review the financial items of the warrant, which you'll get about a week in advance of that. Barbara's just verifying all of the numbers.
Okay.
And I don't know what else the chair has planned for that night. Anything's possible.
Yeah, the warrant articles know it take a long time.
Yeah.
I will probably talk with Kurt and we'll send out a cheat sheet or something, an email ahead of time,
Sounds good.
and then we can discuss it then. So, I don't know if you saw my.
Yes,
municipal
I'm wondering when we're going
growth
to discuss that.
I know.
We do that next.
I have to get with Kurt and figure out when we're going to do it, but it was a heck of a ride. You know what? I'm not going to suggest an adjournment. I'll let someone else do it today. If there's nothing else.
So I propose we adjourn the meeting. And
Second.
move. Okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion is adjourned. All right, motion to adjourn is approved at 7:41. We are done.